Hello everyone and welcome to Hello Word. I am Alex, your enthusiastic host and friend on this journey toward better English skills. I am so excited to have you here for another episode of our program playlist, where we explore words and phrases that are useful in specific daily occasions. Today, we will be looking at concepts related to important life milestones, such as going to school for the first time or moving into a new home. Our focus is to help you understand not just the definitions of these words, but also how to use them in natural, everyday sentences. By the end of this episode, you will be able to confidently weave these terms into your own conversations and share your personal stories with clarity and ease. Before we get started, I would like to offer a quick tip that can make your learning smoother. When trying to remember a new word, write it down and then say it out loud a few times. If possible, use the word in a simple conversation with a friend or family member. That small act of speaking the word in context will help lock the meaning and pronunciation in your memory. Remember to be patient with yourself. Learning a language is a process that requires consistency and practice. So, settle in, grab a notebook if you have one, and let us begin exploring today's set of words. Let us start with the word birth. Birth refers to the moment a baby enters the world, marking the beginning of an individual's life. It carries a lot of emotional weight because it symbolizes a new start and the beginning of countless possibilities. In daily conversations, people might say a sentence like, "We celebrated the birth of my niece last weekend." This is a natural way to talk about the arrival of a new baby into the family. Another example is, "She wants to write a book about the miracle of birth to share her experiences as a doctor." In this sense, birth does not only describe the event itself, but can also be used more generally to refer to the start of something new in a figurative way, like when people say, "the birth of a new idea." Next, we have kindergarten. Kindergarten is a school or class that young children attend before they begin primary school. It is often the first formal education experience for children, where they learn basic social and academic skills such as sharing, making friends, and recognizing letters of the alphabet. In everyday conversations, people might say, "My daughter will start kindergarten in the fall," which communicates that a child is about to embark on this early educational adventure. Another common example could be, "I have such happy memories from kindergarten, especially story time and finger painting." The word kindergarten conveys that special period of a child's life when they first learn to interact with peers and teachers in a structured environment. Our third word is enrollment at school. The term enrollment refers to the process of signing up or registering for educational classes or programs. This is a key milestone since it indicates a step forward in formal education. In daily life, you might hear, "After finishing preschool, we completed her enrollment at school and bought her first uniform." Another example is, "The enrollment deadline is coming soon, so make sure to fill out the forms in time." Notice how the word enrollment describes not the actual attendance of classes, but rather the action of officially becoming a student at an institution. Next is graduation. Graduation is the ceremony or the process of completing a course of study and receiving an official certificate or diploma. It can happen at various levels, including high school or university. A common way this word appears in daily speech is, "We are celebrating her graduation from college with a big family party." Alternatively, someone might say, "Graduation day was bittersweet because it meant saying goodbye to close friends." The word graduation does not just describe the event itself. It can also refer to the accomplishment of finishing a significant phase of education, marking the end of one chapter and the start of another. Moving on, we have prom. Prom is a special dance or celebration that often takes place at the end of high school in many English-speaking countries. This event is usually organized by students and school staff to celebrate the conclusion of an academic year or a student's entire time in school. In daily speech, people might say, I am so excited to go to prom next month because it marks the end of senior year. Another example is, my brother rented a fancy suit for prom. Prom is generally characterized by a sense of celebration, dressing up, and making lasting memories with friends. For some, it is a highlight of the teenage experience. The term to fall in love describes the emotional process of developing strong romantic feelings for another person. It can carry a sense of excitement, vulnerability, and happiness. You might hear, they first met at a coffee shop and quickly fell in love, or I did not expect to fall in love so soon after moving to a new city. Falling in love is a common theme in everyday stories, movies, and songs. It emphasizes the transition from casual interest to deeper affection and emotional attachment, highlighting a significant change in a relationship or personal experience. To propose to somebody describes the act of asking another person to marry you, typically accompanied by a question such as, will you marry me? This can happen in many settings, sometimes in an intimate one-on-one moment or a grand gesture in front of family and friends. You might hear, he proposed to her on a beach at sunset, or they decided to propose to each other together in a private setting. The proposal is often associated with romance, surprise, and a ring, although the specifics vary greatly from couple to couple. It is a big step that leads to an engagement if the answer is yes. Next is engagement, which in English refers to the period of time when a couple agrees to marry, but has not yet had the wedding ceremony. Engagement can be used to describe that promise between two individuals. A simple way to hear this word in conversation is, they announced their engagement during the family dinner, and everyone was overjoyed. Another instance could be, her engagement ring is absolutely stunning. Engagement is often marked by the exchange of rings and acts as a special stage where couples celebrate their decision to build a life together, while family and friends eagerly anticipate the upcoming wedding. To get engaged is essentially the result of a successful marriage proposal. It describes the phase where a couple has officially agreed to marry and is looking forward to the wedding day. In conversation, people might say, they got engaged last weekend, and their families are thrilled, or I was so surprised when my partner proposed, and now we are engaged. Being engaged is filled with excitement and wedding planning, and it is typically viewed as a joyful time for the couple to prepare for their life together. To marry describes the act of becoming someone's spouse through a formal wedding ceremony or legally recognized union. In everyday conversation, people might say, they decided to marry after being together for 3 years, or he hopes to marry his partner in a small, intimate ceremony next summer. The word marry is often used interchangeably with get married, though we can say, they got married or they plan to marry soon. It signifies a lifelong commitment between partners, as well as the formation of a new family unit. Bride refers to a woman on her wedding day or the woman about to be married. It is a term you will hear often when discussing wedding events. For example, you could say, the bride looked radiant in her wedding dress, or my sister was a very happy bride when she walked down the aisle. The word bride highlights the central role of the woman who is getting married, often focusing on the celebratory aspects of her appearance, emotions, and preparations for the wedding ceremony. Groom refers to a man on his wedding day or the man about to be married. In everyday speech, someone might say, the groom was nervous before the ceremony, but he was also excited, or the groom wore a classic suit and looked very handsome. The term focuses on the man's role during the wedding festivities. Together with bride, it forms the essential pair of terms associated with weddings and marriage ceremonies in many English-speaking cultures. Pregnancy refers to the condition in which a woman carries one or more developing babies inside her body. It typically lasts about 9 months, and it is a period marked by physical and emotional changes. In daily usage, you may hear, "She announced her pregnancy to everyone on her birthday," or "They were overjoyed to learn about the pregnancy after trying for a long time." The word pregnancy often signals a new chapter in the lives of expectant parents, filled with anticipation and preparation for welcoming a child into their home. Finally, to break up means to end a romantic relationship that is not yet a marriage. People often use this phrase to describe the decision to stop dating or seeing each other. You might hear someone say, "They decided to break up after months of disagreements," or "I had to break up with him because we wanted different things in life." The phrase "to break up" is part of everyday conversation, and it can be used to talk about a separation that does not require a legal process, unlike divorce. It is primarily about ending a relationship that has not involved marriage. To get divorced refers to the legal end of a marriage. It occurs when a married couple decides they can no longer continue their relationship, and they go through the official process to separate. In a conversation, you might hear, "My parents got divorced when I was young but remained good friends," or "They've been unhappy for a while and finally decided to get divorced." While it is generally a difficult emotional experience, understanding how to use this term is important because it is a reality for many couples in society. To move means changing your place of residence or location. It can refer to going from one house or apartment to another, or even relocating to an entirely different city or country. In casual conversation, you might hear, "We decided to move closer to the city center," or "My friend is planning to move into a new apartment next month." This word captures more than just a physical shift. It can also include all the tasks and emotional experiences that come with leaving a familiar place and adapting to a new environment. Now we have to enter the workforce. This phrase means to begin working in a particular field or industry, often for the first time. It can refer to a person's very first job after finishing school or a long break. In day-to-day life, you might hear, "After graduation, she entered the workforce as a junior designer at a tech company." Another example could be, "I decided to enter the workforce immediately instead of going to graduate school." This expression captures a major life step, reflecting both a sense of independence and responsibility. Here we revisit a similar concept, "to enter the workforce," which appears again in the list. Sometimes, multiple English phrases can translate into the same idea from another language. This particular expression highlights starting a job or beginning a career. In conversation, you might hear, "Right after college, I decided to enter the workforce to gain real experience." Another example could be, "Many high school graduates prefer to enter the workforce instead of continuing their studies immediately." Although it is the same meaning as the earlier mention of "to enter the workforce," it is helpful to see it repeated, since repetition can reinforce your understanding and help you remember the expression. To leave a job means to resign or quit one's position. Sometimes it can also mean stepping away from work for personal reasons or to move on to a new opportunity. In everyday conversation, you might hear, "I decided to leave my job because I want to focus on my studies," or "She left her job last month to start her own business." The phrase "to leave a job" often signifies a transition to a different phase in someone's professional life, whether that means exploring new career paths, taking a break, or finding a new company. To retire means to stop working permanently, usually because of age, though some people retire early if they have enough resources or choose another path. In daily conversations, you might hear, "My father plans to retire at the end of this year," or "She hopes to retire someday and travel the world." Retirement often represents the final phase of a person's career, marking a transition from a structured working life to a period of relaxation, hobbies, and new adventures. To get fired is used to describe losing your position because your employer demands that you leave, typically due to some form of poor performance, breaking rules, or company layoffs for budget reasons. It is generally an unwelcome event. In day-to-day language, you might say, "He got fired from his job for always arriving late," or "I am worried I might get fired if the company continues to cut costs." This expression carries a negative connotation, indicating that the decision to end the employment was not in the employee's control. Funeral is a ceremony held to honor and remember a person who has died, as well as to support and comfort the friends and family of the person who passed away. It may involve various rituals or customs depending on cultural or religious practices. In everyday speech, you might hear, "We attended my aunt's funeral last week, and it was a very emotional event for everyone," or "She helped plan the funeral to ensure everything was done respectfully." Funeral is a word that represents a solemn occasion, acknowledging the passing of a loved one and offering closure to those who remain. We have covered a wide range of words and expressions relating to major life moments, from birth all the way to retirement. These terms can be very useful when sharing stories about yourself or others, especially when you want to describe important changes and transitions in life. Now that you have clear definitions and examples of each word, I hope you feel more comfortable weaving them into your conversations. Remember that practice is key. The more you use these new words, the more naturally they will come to you in everyday situations. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this episode of Hello Word and you would like to keep learning more practical and interesting English vocabulary, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us improve our content and reach more learners just like you. Every comment and rating you share encourages us to keep exploring new topics and offering you the best guidance possible on your English learning journey. Take a moment to connect with us, share your experiences, or ask us any questions you have about today's life milestones vocabulary. We love hearing from our listeners, and your interaction helps us grow into a stronger community of people passionate about language learning. Until next time, stay curious, stay positive, and keep practicing your English skills every day. I am Alex, and I look forward to our next session together. Happy learning!